All right, Knicks fans, we need to talk because something just happened that honestly makes me want to throw my remote at the wall. If you've been following our center rotation drama all summer, you already know where this is going, and if you don't, buckle up because this one stings. Before I get into it, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because we cover every single move the Knicks make, good or bad, and trust me, today is one of the bad ones. And if you agree with anything I say in the next 10 minutes, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. So here's the deal. 4 weeks now there's been chatter swirling around Jonas Valanciunas, the veteran big man who spent time with Sacramento and then got flipped to Denver. Reports started leaking that he was on the verge of signing overseas with Lithuanian club Žalgiris Kaunas. And look, when I first saw that report, I didn't want to believe it. I wanted it to be one of those rumors that just kind of fizzles out. And for a hot second, it actually looked like it might. Valanciunas himself hopped on Instagram and basically clapped back at the reporters. He said something along the lines of, "You wake up and your whole future's already been decided for you. You don't even get a say in your own career. Thanks a lot, reporters." Which, fair, I get the frustration. Nobody wants their next chapter written for them before they've even had the conversation. For about a day, that gave us a little hope. Maybe the reporting was premature. Maybe he was staying in the league. Maybe, just maybe, he'd end up somewhere that actually mattered for a team like ours. Nope. Turns out the original report wasn't wrong. It was just early. Because now we got confirmation from people who actually cover European basketball closely. And it's official. Valanciunas has signed a 2-year deal with Žalgiris Kaunas, reportedly worth somewhere around $5.5 million. He's done in the NBA, at least for now, after 14 years in the league. Let that sink in for a second. 14 years. A guy who was a legitimate double-double machine for most of his career. A guy who could still give you rebounding and post touches off the bench. Just walked away from the NBA to go play in Europe. And I know what some of you are thinking. Why do we even care? He wasn't a Knick. Well, let me explain why this actually matters to us. Because it's more than just a random free agent signing somewhere else. Drop a comment below and tell me honestly, were you hoping Knicks would go after him? Because a lot of us were. Here's the context. Valanciunas was quietly building momentum as a name to watch while he was still with Sacramento. Then Denver swooped in and traded for him, paying somewhere around $30 million total, with a little over $10 million owed for this current season, because they wanted him as insurance behind Nikola Jokic. Makes sense on paper, right? You want a guy who can bang in the paint for a few minutes, so your franchise player doesn't get run into the ground. Except it didn't really work out the way Denver hoped. In his time with the Nuggets, Valanciunas was only playing around 13.5 minutes a night, averaging under 9 points and just over 5 rebounds. Solid, unspectacular, exactly what you'd expect from a guy in a limited bench role. And here's the kicker. His $10 million salary for next season was non-guaranteed. So what did Denver do? Last week, they waived him. Just cut him loose to avoid paying that money. Cold business, but that's the NBA for you. And that's exactly the moment where things got interesting for us. Because once Valanciunas hit the open market as a free agent, his name immediately started getting connected to the Knicks. And honestly, it made a ton of sense if you think about our center situation right now. Let's rewind for a second, because you need the full picture here. Mitchell Robinson, who was an absolute difference maker for us in that championship run, walked in free agency. We all saw it coming, honestly. He earned himself a big contract elsewhere, and he's probably going to start for whatever team he's on now. Losing him hurt. There's no sugarcoating that. He was disruptive. He protected the rim. He was a walking energy source every time he stepped on the floor. So, how did the front office respond? They brought in Andre Drummond to fill that void behind Karl-Anthony Towns. And look, Drummond's a solid rebounder. He can eat minutes, but let's be real. He is not Mitchell Robinson defensively, and a lot of us were hoping the front office would add one more piece behind him just in case things didn't work out, or just to push him for the job. That's where Valanciunas came in. He was floated as a legitimate option to push Drummond, maybe even take that immediate backup center spot outright. A skilled scorer down low, a veteran presence, somebody who's been through playoff battles before. It felt like a low-risk, potentially high-reward move sitting right there for taking. And now it's gone. Just like that. Signed, sealed, delivered to Lithuania. If this frustrates you as much as it frustrates me, do me a favor and like this video, because it tells me you actually want more breakdowns like this one. So where does that leave us? Andre Drummond is now, by default, the guy behind Towns at center. There's no competition coming for that job anymore, not from Valanciunas at least. Whatever depth concerns you had about our front court, they're still sitting there unresolved. We didn't upgrade. We didn't add competition. We just watched a viable option walk out the door and go play overseas for less money than he could have made staying stateside somewhere. And that's honestly what gets me. This wasn't even about money. $5.5 million over 2 years is nothing close to what he was making in the NBA. This was a guy who, it sounds like, was tired of the uncertainty, tired of waiting on phone calls that weren't coming fast enough, and decided to take a guaranteed, stable situation overseas instead of gambling on a training camp invite or a minimum deal domestically, which honestly says something about how front offices around the league, including ours, handle these free agency windows. Guys sit there waiting, and eventually they just take the sure thing. I don't blame Valanciunas one bit for making that choice. But as a Knicks fan, watching a name that fit our roster needs disappear because we didn't move fast enough, that's frustrating no matter how you slice it. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think the front office should have made a real push for Valanciunas earlier before this got to this point? Or are you fine riding with Drummond as the guy behind Towns for the whole season? Because I have my opinion, and it's pretty clear I think we let this one slip through our fingers. But I want to know if you agree or if you think I'm overreacting. Before you go, seriously, hit that like button if you made it this far. Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to keep tracking every single roster move this offseason, and there's going to be a lot more to break down before training camp opens. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.